4 minus 1, that's 3, quick maths. Everyday man's on the block.
So when adding and subtracting fractions, we actually need to use some of the work that we did from last term to do with common multiples and common factors. So the easiest way to show it is through an example. So this is chapter 2C now of your Year 7 maths textbook. And the example is 3/8 plus 7/8. Now, when we've got a common denominator, by which I mean that each of the denominators are the same, it's easy to do an addition or subtraction of two fractions. Because that denominator stays the same, so since we have a common denominator of what, Josh? What's our common denominator there? Yep, that stays the same. Now we add the two top numbers. So I heard someone say 16. You do not add the denominators. You look for a common denominator. That is your denominator. You add the two top numbers. So you go 3 plus 7, which gives you 10/8. Now you could write that as a mixed number if you wanted to. I'd be happy with that as 10/8 through your bookwork. Yep. Our second example, you'll notice it's just subtraction rather than addition. Same thing, they've given us a common denominator, so we don't have to work to try and find it. It's just 14, so your denominator is going to be 14. And then similarly to what we did in A, you just do the subtraction which is stated there. So you go 9 minus 3, which is 6/14. Now we've done some work already about simplifying fractions and writing them in their simplest form. Is 6/14 the simplest way that fraction could be written? Alright, could someone suggest an equivalent fraction? Logan? Good. So if you divide both top and bottom by 2, you'll get 3/7. So our simplest fraction would be 3/7. Now, in this next example, you'll notice that it isn't quite as easy. What's the difference between this one and what we've looked at already, Jackson? Good. So we've got different denominators, so that means that we actually have to do a little bit of work to try and get the denominators the same. Now, this comes back to what we learnt last term to do with multiples. So I'm going to write here multiples of 6 and multiples of 4. Because basically what we want to do is we want to find the lowest common multiple, and that's going to form our denominator. That will be our common denominator. So our multiples of 6, don't get confused between multiples and factors. Remember, multiples are 6, 12, 18, 24. And then multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Did you notice that I just stopped on a number? Alright, so 6, 12, 18, 24. They're my multiples of 6. I could keep going, but I'm going to stop there on purpose. My multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Alright, can you see that we have a common multiple? Common multiple is 24. Now, some of you can do this in your head. I'm just writing these multiples out so you can see them. So now we need to manipulate this addition of this fraction in such a way that the denominators are the same. So at the moment, the denominator of this fraction is 6, the denominator of this fraction is 4. So what could I do to make the denominator of that fraction there 24, Samuel? Oh, sorry. Sorry, 12 and 12. I stand corrected. There's a lower one. So, if I want to manipulate it so it's 12, what do I have to do to the top and bottom of that fraction to make it 12, Ben? Good. So actually, rather than doing it there, I'll do it down here. So we've got 5 over 6 plus, I'm going to leave a bit of room on purpose, 3 over 4. Alright, so since we can get 12, I'll multiply this by 2. Now you cannot just multiply the denominator of a fraction, you have to multiply the top as well. Because if you just multiply the bottom by 2, you're multiplying that by half. If you multiply by 2 over 2, you're actually multiplying by 1. So that's why we can do that. And what can I multiply top and bottom by here? Everyone?
3.
Because that will give me 12. So that means I get 10 over 12 plus 9 over 12. And now your denominator is the same. So that stays as a, what's our denominator? 12. And you add the 10 plus the 9 to get 19. And you could write that in a mixed number. 12 goes into 19 once with 7 left over 12.